Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Talent Show, where you will meet the people that power TTEC. I'm Rebecca, and will be your host for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are tuning in from around the world. We appreciate your time. We know you have so many different ways you could be spending it. So we're glad that you're dropping by to take a little bit of your day with us to learn how to power up your career and meet some amazing people behind TTEC as well. So wherever you are from, please drop in the chat where you're joining us from, what you may be doing. We'd love to see the global audience from around the world and would love the opportunity to give a shout out to you. So I don't know if you can believe it, but it is almost the wrap up of the Olympics this weekend as they go into the closing ceremony. And watching the Olympics has me so inspired by watching these athletes reach their dreams, whether it's just getting to the Olympics or getting the gold medal and representing their country. They've overcome adversity and injuries, weather, whatever it may be. And it's been really inspiring to see them fulfilling their passion and their dreams, getting into their why and their purpose for what they do. And it really shows us what getting into that optimal state looks like. It also reminds us that training for the Olympics is more like a marathon rather than a sprint. There is a lot that goes into it. And so therefore, it could also be that way as we look to find our whys and our purpose in our careers. But have no fear, everyone. We have an excellent guest here today who's going to help us really accelerate how we can find our purpose, tap into our why, and really create a more fulfilling life with a passion, purpose-driven, impactful work. And so we're really excited for our guest here today. Oh, hi, Jamie from Colombia. Thank you so much, Ola. We appreciate you tuning in today. And please continue to drop in the chat so everyone can meet each other. So as we talk a little bit more about where we're headed into today, let us introduce our guest to you. So Patrick is our Executive Director of Client Success, and he may be a familiar face because he comes onto a lot of our lives to share more about why becoming a part of our healthcare and property and casualty insurance careers is so impactful. He's been on our show almost every single year, but we wanted to dive in and talk a little bit more about his secrets to success and how he creates a passion and purpose-driven career. So let us meet Patrick.
Hey, Patrick. Hi. Hey, Rebecca. And man, you really do a great job of pumping me up. I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. We love it. You are like a four-peat on the talent show. So I think we could put you in the books of the Hall of Fame of the talent show. What do you think?
Absolutely. And it's always my pleasure to join and talk with everybody. And I'm looking at people from Colombia and Canada right now in the chat. It's great. I think it's wonderful. And people all over the world, tune into this thing and really helps unite us. I think that's awesome.
It's like we've given you your own gold medal today, Patrick, the talent show gold medal.
Indeed.
I know we're going to dig a lot into your journey, and people may have met you before if they've tuned into the talent show, but could you just give us, before we really dig in, a brief overview of your role here, how you got to your role here at TTEC, how you got to TTEC, and then we'll jump in to more about what makes Patrick tick.
Yeah, my background, I have a unique kind of career where I kind of have pivoted in a couple of different areas. But I started out in training, learning and development, and that's pretty much been my wheelhouse for a long time. And then I got into operations, and then of course working with our clients to be successful. I got into client success. My journey started about 10 years ago with TTEC. I've absolutely enjoyed it thoroughly because, as I've spoken to you before, but I'll share with the folks at home, is that ultimately healthcare to me has always been like, it was the career that found me. I didn't really find it. I kind of, just got into it accidentally. And so I had visions of other things, that I might be doing when I was younger. I can tell you that I never, when they asked me when I was 5 in front of the class, what do you want to do when you grow up? I don't ever remember saying a healthcare worker, but here I am. But having said that, I might have said Ghostbuster or DJ or something like that, but yeah, whatever. But but basically, that was it was kind of like something I was, I had honed skills that I didn't even realize I was honing for this, and then of course got into it, and it just worked. And so ultimately, we've helped a lot of folks get plans that they need. We've helped a lot of folks start careers they never thought they would through getting their insurance license and things like that. And there's always something to be pumped up about, because if you're looking for success, it's all over the place, and you can find it real easily in this role. So that's pretty much it.
Love it. Thank you so much. And Patrick, because you've been on so many different lives with us, either on Facebook or on LinkedIn, we have you talk a lot about that rewarding career in healthcare, or how to demystify sales. And it got me thinking, well, how did Patrick even get into sales and into this passion, purpose-driven field in the first place? And I loved your story, kind of tapping into that 5-year-old self of yours. Will you share a little bit, like, what was that journey to discovering healthcare? Like you said, you didn't even know that was a direction that you wanted to go. Because as you share that, I think it'll tie in a lot with the audience of like, oh, okay, this gives me context.
Yeah, and this is something I like to talk about with other people, because as I mentioned to you earlier, sales is something that most people are doing. And they don't even know it. But because they've got this misguided conception of what sales is. And I was one of those people. I actually wanted to be in communications. I actually did a stint as a DJ many, many years ago. I won't tell you how many, because it will age me a little bit, but when DJs were a thing, and realized that industry was going away and not very rewarding. And so I started looking at that and said, I just need to do something else. And I didn't know what to do. A friend of mine was actually selling fitness equipment at the time. And he was working for a company where they would set up kiosks in the malls, and he would work out. And my wife went to work for him. And then he said, you ought to do it. And I said, no. And then he changed careers and went into cell phones. And right when the world was changing to be digital. And I thought, well, cool, I could do that probably. So I started selling cell phones. Did very good at it. And he said, see, I told you, you're natural. You can talk to people, and you were already doing it. But I still wasn't number one. I wanted to be number one, and I wanted to know, like, what makes these number one folks, number one in sales. And I started looking at them and I actually drove. I was living in New Orleans at the time, and I drove to Mobile to watch this gentleman who was number one. And I said, I want to see what he's doing, right? I want to know everything he's doing. And he agreed to it. So I just sat there and I documented everything. Lo and behold, he was doing some things I wasn't. And that's when I realized I need to change that. So I went back and I wound up, my numbers increased, my ability. And one of the things that he was doing was he wasn't trying to convince people of doing things. And that's a lot of misconception in sales. People think that they need to convince you of things. And that's not the case. So we actually, I started meeting needs and doing a needs assessment and starting to talk to people about what they wanted, and then getting them what they wanted. And then just things just start snapping. And I realized it's more like actually being in a restaurant atmosphere and taking an order. Like when people are giving you the order, you just take it. You don't say, oh, you don't want the fish, or you don't want that. You take the order. So ultimately, that's how sales was. And I started doing very, very well. And then I realized before long that I had a process that I could teach. And that one thing led to another. And that walked me into a door of a call center that I worked for previously. And they were lighting up healthcare under the new changes that were going on. And we started teaching it to folks, and they were very successful. And we realized we had something. Then I came to TTEC, did it again, and we realized that we had something here as well. And so we do a very good job of exceeding expectations for a lot of our clients, which is phenomenal because we have a sales process. It's a repeatable process, a teachable process. But more importantly, we have a coaching platform, which I like to brag about because it's award-winning and things like that. But ultimately, it is the difference maker. It's the thing that, because everybody needs a coach. We talked about the Olympics earlier. If you look over to the sidelines when somebody's performing and they're winning that gold medal, chances are there's a person on the sidelines rooting them on who's been their coach. And so that was one of the things I had to learn early on too, is that we're not perfect. You will never be perfect. And that's okay. Accept that, embrace it, and then realize that, but you can get better and you can sharpen your skills. And you can also have people who have never done anything kind of review what you do. Like most of the coaches who are watching or coaching, they never necessarily mean they didn't win gold medals. Not everybody, one of them was a gold medal winner, but they understand the concepts, they understand the process, they understand the mechanics, and they can help people sharpen their skills. And so you learn from different people as you go too, who can help you hone in your game. But ultimately, that's how I got to where I'm at. It was really a passion that started with just talking with people, and turned that into something sort of a career, I guess, right? So of helping people, and that's basically it in a nutshell.
Oh, that's great. I think it's a recurring theme with our guests is that coach, and having somebody that's on your team rooting you on, helping course correct or helping you see that you can unlock more potential in you than you might even see yourself. So it's great, Patrick, that here at TTEC we do also have those coaches, those team leads working alongside our team to help them excel and deliver better customer service as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I can see the DJ thing. You've got a great DJ voice, a good presence. So you're still doing it, Patrick, maybe not as your career, but you're weaving it in.
Yeah. Well, again, to your point, it's fun to weave things in like that, right? To find things that, what are you good at? What do you want to do? And then taking and using those skills. And I agree with you 100%. It's like, that's why when they say, hey, you want to do a talent show? I'm like, hey, I'm in. I do enjoy this. Absolutely.
Oh, that's so great. Yes, thank you so much for that. And all this talk of global Olympians, it also has me thinking of our bilingual team that we have across the globe and how they can really help also to make that impact with their own communities and really live their passion as well. So could you share a little bit more about, in particular, why the bilingual speaker is so important and can find a great purpose in a career in healthcare insurance, and then just more broadly in general too?
Yeah, I think, well, let me start a little differently here, but I think that every year we get a phone call, and this is in healthcare mainly, but I'm sure in other lines of businesses they have similar issues or similar calls. But we get calls where people will actually say things like, I can either eat or I can take my prescription medications, but I can't do both. And that, it just sounds horrible, right? And so we are able to correct that. We're able to fix it. We're able to show them a different way. We're able to get their needs assessed and then get them what they really need. And then hopefully that comes together. And the majority of the cases, we're able to help them. You go to bed really feeling really good about yourself. The unique thing about that is that the other aspect of that, going down the line of how we help people, right, is some people, they call a call center, they are offered, choices of language. And that's great because, again, we're helping them. And how we're helping them there, bilingual agents in particular, is because healthcare is confusing. A lot of things are out there, that you have to do every day, but healthcare is definitely a confusing thing. It can be very confusing. To reach somebody who can speak your language and break it down for you and talk to you is so comforting to people. And not try to have to figure it out or navigate a second language or maybe a language you're not strong enough in, but their native language is just, I think, phenomenal. And it's just another level of the service that we offer. So for me, bilingual agents are just, they're not just agents who speak multiple languages, and some of them I've met, speak 3-4 languages fluently, which is just absolutely impressive. But the bigger thing, the bigger picture is that consumer. I always like to think of the consumer calling in and getting that bilingual agent who speaks their language, and it's just got to be so relieving. I know it is. In fact, we get feedback that it is. That people are able to do that. In fact, one of the people were shocked. One of the programs that we had a Cantonese speaker. They were shocked at that. And so they were able to go through and explain, the plans and again, get to a point where they were able to help. So it's just another way that you can help people and use something that you have that you may even take for granted. Some bilinguals I've met, they're like, oh yeah, I just speak 2 languages. Who cares? No, it's amazing. First of all, give yourself a pat in the back, clap, because not a lot of people can. And the fact that you can, now you can take something that you're doing every day. Okay. I mean, just literally every day. And you can put that into perspective and say, I'm going to make a career or do something with this skill. And absolutely you can. So the bilingual agent for me is somebody who's going to be able to be a hero in somebody's life. And that's another way for you to be a hero. I mean, there's so many ways in healthcare. It's hard to count them all, but ultimately you can be a hero, because when that person calls in and is struggling with healthcare, the last thing they need is to navigate a language. And so you're going to be able to help them navigate everything, healthcare and any kind of barriers that may exist with language. And so talk about winning, right? Talk about the Olympics and things like that. So there's just so many different ways that you can help folks. And that's one of them.
Yeah, thank you. And Smearty also says there are some things that are better and comforting when done in a native language. And hello to Des in the Philippines, who's also joining us today, Patrick. And you're absolutely right. Like it could be totally taken for granted that they're bilingual or multilingual speakers, and we have so many opportunities around the globe. In Europe, we have German and Russian, and all the languages, and then of course in the United States, we're looking for everything from Spanish to Mandarin, all over the world. So whether it's in healthcare or just helping people in general, we've got some great opportunities for that.
100%. Yep.
So we're going to go to the audience with a quick question. As we just kind of shared, Patrick has found a way to also play to his strengths, filtering in coming on the lives. What do you do to play to your strengths in the workplace? So how do you position yourself for you're feeling that optimal state and that you're performing at your best? We would like to know. So please share with us in the chat. And Patrick, you were just talking about winning, and obviously we're talking about the Olympics and winning in so many ways. Winning could mean closing a deal. It could mean going to the next level in your career. But I also like that you have another definition of winning, and that's around the importance of helping people. So could you talk a little bit more about why is that important and why is that winning?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, in some of our programs, we actually, we sell, but we also have service accounts where we service the people that we sell to, right? And ultimately, one of the things that I'll share with you about that, where again, another winning scenario, I think anyway, is that we will, when we have the consumer on the phone and we're walking them through a problem they may have with a billing issue or maybe it's a approval for a medication they need or something of that nature, we're also able to see and talk with them about, like, for instance, that they are due for a mammogram or a colonoscopy or some kind of preventative maintenance thing. And we actually have stories of people that didn't really want to do it, and we kind of talked to them about doing it and then had a discussion. They went and did it and found out that they had stage 1 cancer. And by the way, just for everybody at home, I hope one day we give cancer like full attention, like we did, we treated like a pandemic, because it's a heinous disease that's plucked so many people from us early and in their prime, and certainly would like to see that go away. And I share that with you because the service programs that we have, we've actually sent people and said, hey, go get this. You're due for it. It's something that will prevent. They've went and had stage 1 cancer. Although that's a horrible thing to hear, you have stage 1 cancer. It's a lot better than hearing you have stage 3. And a lot of people, unfortunately, wait too long. And so imagine you are the person who did that. Think about that. You urge someone to go get their, diabetic, the diabetic check, their colonoscopy, or their mammogram, and you caught something that's going to allow them now to see more weddings, more parties, more family get-togethers, more birthdays, you name it, right? Just name graduations, grandkids, all these things, because an agent on the phone not only did their job, but compassionately looked at this as a person who they want to be here, right? And so we want you to get these things because we want you to be here. I can't think of anything better to do in life. In fact, we've also got the opposite of that story, which is sad. People who didn't take our advice, people who didn't do what we asked them to do, or what they plan allow them to do for free in most cases, and they did have succumb to some disease or illness. And we think about that a lot. We preach it a lot. We talk about it a lot, because when you're helping people, you have to remember that there is and I'm going to call it evil in the world, if you will, an evil in the world. And if we don't stand on guard to that, we might succumb to it. And one of those things is your health, right? You have to be on guard to your health. You have to be checking it regularly. And so those discussions are had on our phones every day. And the volume of people that we have helped is absolutely insane, quite honestly, when you think about it. But again, an agent who might have done, who just started with the company might have done that there in week one, help somebody get that test, get it identified the cancer very early in the stage, and they went and they got it knocked out. So I can't think of anything better about winning than that. I mean, again, selling plans is fantastic. We get people on the right plan, they get the health care they deserve. But man, when you get to that level, when you're actually, putting someone in front of an appointment that they should take, and it reveals something, unfortunately, they need to deal with before it gets out of hand. The difference between stage 1 and stage 3 discussions on cancer is light years. So I think that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And you gave me the chills talking about what it actually means: more weddings, more dancing, more love, more family, all of those things. And thank you to all of our associates around the world who are helping with these challenging discussions and helping people to improve their lives. That's amazing, Patrick. And you're right. I think that's like all sorts of mini gold medals going out every single day, because that's
Absolutely.
really, truly winning.
Rebecca, something I forgot to add, and I wanted to throw it in too, is that when I mentioned that was in cell phones earlier, and I sold, cell phones as part of one of my first gigs in sales. But there was an event in our country here, the 9/11, where before 9/11, a lot of people saw phones as a luxury, and then after 9/11, because their planes were landing all over the country and they were shutting things down, and they didn't know if they were safe or not, and so those folks now rely on a communications device, and they were able to communicate. People didn't have it; they had to go find a payphone or some other method. And people realized then I need a cell phone. So after 9/11, it looked like people's mindset just changed. Like, this is a necessity. I need this device. And so they started using these devices a lot more to where we are today, where we're very plugged in. When you text people, they don't text you back. You start getting nervous. Like, what happened? We know that, where are they okay? And you start thinking about those things. So think about just even in that industry, right? Because we service a lot of other people besides healthcare, right? We do have other accounts, but think about that. Even cell phones, something simple. You think, well, yeah, it's a cell phone, big deal, but it's not. It's a communication tool that lets people know I'm okay. It's a communications tool that shares good news. Like, I'm coming home from deployment, or I'm able to see my kids FaceTime. I'm able to see kids from, like, I can be in the Philippines on a trip and call back home and talk with my family like they're sitting in the living room with me. This is all things that bring you together. And when people can't get their communications, and they can't get their having problems, their bill or things like that, those are all things that are important to them. And that's why, because it's not just about reception. It's not just about a phone that works. It's not just about their billing issues. It's a connection device to their families and friends and events and social media and things like that. They keep them plugged in to their communities. And so I believe there's purpose in a lot of things. I don't want to oversell healthcare here, because we do a lot of things. But to your point, gold medals around the world. We have people all over the world doing things like this, making sure people stay connected, making sure people stay engaged, giving them, making sure they get those, mammograms and colonoscopies and things like that. I mean, from every end of the spectrum, our folks are out there doing it every day. And I don't know. I have to think that all the things you might hear in a day, they sound like problems. If you turn it around and think these are solutions, I've been able to solution for people, you go to bed real easy that night, because you've helped so many people overcome any adversity, roadblock, or just, dysfunction in their life. You're helping that, right? Because the last thing people need when they're having a lot of turmoil and things like that is, in fact, another opportunity to have turmoil, right? Which is like a billing problem or something like that. You help resolve that. You're removing stress. You're taking care of people. You're allowing them to communicate, stay connected, and in our case, stay healthy, right? But just I wanted to throw that in there too for the folks that are, because you mentioned that, brought my memory. We have a lot of people all over the world that are solving problems. I like to think of it that way, right? Reducing stress on people, I like to believe.
Yeah, and reducing stress goes back to helping people with their health when we can do that too. So it's all connected in so many ways. And what I love when I talk with you too, Patrick, is you reframe things so beautifully. And like you said, it's not a luxury of a phone; it's an ability to stay connected and know your family is safe. And so as we go into the wrap up, of course, as we mentioned before the show with our producer Dora behind the scenes, we could talk to you for an hour and unlock all sorts of secrets about success. But would you leave us with one parting thought about what you think is the most timely advice to offer people who are pursuing their why and a purpose-driven career?
Yeah, I think that, I always say take the chance, right? It's one of the things I like to do and say, basically, I think, don't, like some people say, I didn't want to do it because I didn't think I could do it, right? Those kind of things, right? I'm telling you, like literally, I've told people who worked in the fast food industry and things like that, you've taken an order from a customer and they're like, yes. I'm like, that's sales. I know you don't think it is, but that's what you're doing, right? You're going to provide that service to them. You're going to get it to them. So don't be scared of taking that step, especially with a company like TTEC. TTEC is a great company to come learn because we are a coaching culture. What does that mean? Culture meaning that we believe in getting our people to the next level. We believe in getting our people trained and getting them the tools and things they need. It may seem like overwhelming at first too. That's okay. We're going to help you hone those skills because might teach 50 things. You might be good at 10, but we're going to get you to the 50, right? And that's okay, right? Like I said, nobody's perfect and we recognize that. And so just like the coaches in the Olympics we talked about are going to be there, that we're going to be here for you too. And ultimately, I think that don't limit yourself, right? Take the chance. What's the worst thing that can happen? We say yes, you come on board and you learn a new skill. Fantastic, right? And or maybe you're even doing it right now and you haven't really put a name on it, but you're probably doing that talent already. We just have to show you how to utilize that. And then again, think of it as helping people, getting the resolutions they need, and you're going to have a fulfilling career because that's what fulfills me. I know every day that when we put these trainings out there, when we coach these folks, when we help them out, when we put them on the phones, when we put them wherever we need to put them to help out whatever the need is, that we are at the end of the day helping people. And that's I mean, it's just amazing, quite honestly, when you think about it, the scale of the amount of people that we're helping. And so you go to bed every night pretty solid, I would say. So my recommendation to everybody listening is apply, try. You don't think you can do it? Come do it. We'll be here to coach and develop you.
I love how you said, Patrick, that we can talk ourselves out of anything. So maybe we need to start talking ourselves into more things. I think for anybody who might know the Muppets, will you give the Muppets example? Because it was just perfect.
Yeah, because I forgot that actually. But I tell people that, and most people have like these, if you ever look at the Muppet Show, they've got those two guys in the balcony and they're just like critiquing everything going on stage. Most people have that in their head. And in fact, if you go to a bookstore and you ask them for the how to fail section, there isn't one. But if you ask them for the how to succeed section, it's a whole, level of the bookstore, right? So people always need help succeeding. We recognize that. They don't need help failing. And in fact, most times people fail because they let those Muppets, if you will, on a balcony talk them out of it, right? So again, I share that with you because don't let that be the thing. And I hope that reference goes well, because I don't know if everybody knows what the Muppet Show is, but again, a little older reference. But it's just don't let those voices in your head, whoever they may be, talk you out of it. And again, that really is success. When you talk about anybody who's reached a level of success, chances are they weren't letting a lot of people tell them no, and they weren't standing in their own way. they were taking those risks and chances. And so, again, I'd say come be a part of TTEC and let us help you. Let us give you, let us refine those skills. If you've already got them, if you don't, let us give them to you. And rest is up to you.
Awesome. Patrick, thanks so much. Before we say goodbye to you, I just want to say hello to Ismet from Albania, which I would love to go to someday. I have heard it's a beautiful, beautiful country. So thank you so much, Ismet, for joining us. And Patrick, thanks to you for coming back and getting us inspired to move out of our own way, maybe grab some coaches, whether they're informal or through, let's say you're with TTEC through our mentorship program, and to really see where we can uncover those chances to make a difference. I love the reframe and rewire kind of how we're thinking and approaching our day-to-day lives. So glad that we can have a little of the inner DJ out with us here today. So thank you so much, Patrick.
Fueled my tanks for a little bit, Rebecca. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate it immensely, and thanks for having me back.
Thanks. We'll see you soon, Patrick. All right, everyone, we are almost at the end of our show, but if you have found that you'd like to learn a little bit more about TTEC and our opportunities around the world, we've got some great news for you. You can head over to ttechjobs.com. Our team will be dropping in the chat these 2 jobs that we're highlighting today, but please also come take a look around our website, get to know us a little bit more and the amazing people behind the scenes at TTEC. If you are in the United States, we are hiring for part of the amazing team Patrick was just talking about on the property and casualty side. You can bring your bilingual skills to work in a remote role and be able to help people in property and casualty. So that is a remote role here in the United States. We're also looking for, in the Philippines, a remote principal network engineer. If you're looking to upskill your career as a network engineer, this is an exciting and challenging opportunity to support our core network systems and to be able to add some new technologies to your skill set and your stack. So please take a look at the role in the Philippines. These are 2 of the hundreds of roles that we have around the globe. So please come check in. If there's not something that you see right now, join our talent community and you'll be the first to know about jobs that are coming your way. Thank you so much to each of you for joining us today, or if you're watching after the show, we're glad you dropped by. We hope it helps you in pursuit of your gold medal career, whether that's outside of the Olympic Stadium and just in your day-to-day around the world. Thanks to our producers of our show, and of course to Patrick for joining us and inspiring us with his insights about how to discover your why and fully leverage it. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you back in 2 weeks.